Okay, so hello. Today we're gonna do this document processing worksheet with Word that you guys can see here. At the end of our tutorial, we're gonna end up with this document that looks like this over here, and we're gonna get started with the instructions. So we're gonna skip the first instruction because I'm pretty sure you all know how to do the saving of the document into wherever it is that you need to save it into. We're gonna get started with instruction number 3 over here, which is just to set my page size to A4 and my orientation to portrait. So this is pretty basic. I already have my document opened up here, and this is what it looks like when I open it. If you notice, this is not a portrait mode, and the size is probably not A4 either. So to change my layout of the page and what the page looks like, I just have to go to the layout function. This is where I can edit what my page looks like, what the margins look like, my orientation, the size, even the direction that my text goes. So for now, I want to change my orientation to portrait as per the question paper, and I just have to select portrait, and then the page will turn to portrait mode. Give me one sec to turn this page. Okay, so the page has been turned to portrait mode, as you can see here. And I also want to change the size. So right now the size is this one over here, which is called legal. It's 8.5 times 14 inches, but I want it to be A4 size, which is a little bit different from that. So now it's A4 size, and I have that done already. That is my first set of instructions done and complete. Next, I want to do this one where I want to add my name at the left side of the header, and I want to add October 2021 on the right side of the header. So to do that, the header, first of all, we need to know where our header is. So our header is this part at the very top of my text. So whenever I open up a word, right, obviously when I write things down, it starts from a certain line, not exactly from the top of the page, but from a certain line in the page. But my header is basically above this starting point that my text starts. So it's the top part over here. So to insert anything over here, I just go to insert again. And if you notice, there is this option for header and footer, page number, whatever. So right now I want to add things to the header, so I click header. Now if you remember, what I want to do is I want to write my name on the left side and the date on the right side. So actually for this one, I would want to choose the second option over here, where I'm able to have 3 different columns of text: the leftmost, the middle, and then the right. So the leftmost, I want to write my name, so that's that. And then the rightmost, I want to write October 2021. There we go. And then obviously the middle, I don't really have anything, so I don't need the middle column over here. Now, since right now I'm in the header, I can only edit things in the header. So to exit out the header, I need to either close my header or just press the exit key on your keyboard, and you should be done. So now I have this written in my header, and if I were to insert another new page, and if I were to insert a blank page over here, if you notice, my second page will also have the same thing, my name, as well as the date that I wrote in the first page. Okay, next. So now I want to format the text career planning for students as a word art, and I want it to be center aligned over here. Center aligned just means I want it to be in the center. So what they want is this part over here, career planning for students. Now for this set of instructions, they don't really tell us what color or what size to use specifically. So for that, honestly, we can just go with whatever we think is right over here. So obviously the color is yellow, and the size seems to be a little bit bigger than the rest. So I just want to edit this part over here. Now whenever I select text, to edit my text, the font, the size, whatever it is, everything is under this tab over here. So first I want to make it center line. Center line just means I want it to be in the middle. So to change where my text is, whether it's at the right or the left or the middle, I just have to use these options over here. So this will, the pictures themselves tell you where the texts are. So in the center over here, this, if I click this, it will be center aligned. So it's not left, it's not right, it's just right in the middle. And then I want to change the size. Maybe I want a size to be 26 or maybe a 28. That seems about right. And I want it to be word art. So to make it word art, if you notice, there's this fancy looking A over here. If I click this, I can select it to look like any slightly fancier looking letters than the usual. So obviously there's a lot of different ones. The text that we saw was yellow in color, so maybe I'll just go with this one. This one looks pretty similar to what the picture looks like, so we're gonna go with this one. Next, instruction number 6. They want us to insert page numbers at the foot of my document, and I want it to be center aligned. So what they want is this thing over here, page 1 and page 2 in my next page, and so on and so forth whenever I add pages to the document. Now, to do this, remember I said that we can just edit the header. So let's see what's going to happen if I were to just insert page numbers into the footer like that. For example, let me just pick page number here, page 1. But if you notice, if I were to just do this, if I go to my next page, it's still going to be page 1. And whenever I go to my third page, fourth, fifth page, it's still going to be page number 1. It won't change the number as the pages go down. So what am I going to do to make sure the number keeps changing is, instead of just editing the footer directly, I'm going to go back to my insert. And if you notice, there's this option for page numbers specifically that's separate from the header and the footer. So this one, I can choose where I want my page number to be. I want it to be at the bottom of the page, and I want it to be in the middle of my page. So I'll just click this one, and now I have a page number here. But now, this time, the first page is page number 1, and then the second page, it is going to be page number 2 automatically, and then whenever I add pages, it's still going to increase. So that's exactly what I want, and that's exactly what I have done for this one already. So I'm good with this. Next, I want to format all of my text with a 1.15 line spacing and a font type Arial. So going back to my text, I want to edit all of my text essentially. So I'm going to select all of the text that I want to edit, and I want it to be a font size Arial. So right now it's Calibri, so I want it to be Arial. I can just choose Arial. If you can't find Arial straight away, you can just type in Arial, and I will be able to find my font down here, and Arial is my font. And I want to edit the line spacing as well. Line spacing just means how far away each line is. So I want it to be 1.15. On default, your Word is probably at 1 line spacing. So I want it to be 1.15. So to edit my line spacing, I have to go to this option over here where you see like text and then this arrow that points up and down. This is where I can edit my line spacing. So I want it to be 1.15, which is slightly more spaced out than what it was before. So I've already edited that, and I am done with this set of instruction as well. And then we go to instruction number 8. I want to format the body text under reflection as 2 columns. So what they mean is this part over here under this reflection section. I want this to be 2 separate columns instead of the 1 column that it is right now. So this entire text, instead of just being 1 straight column text like that, I want it to be 2 separate columns. So to do that, all I have to do is I have to select the text that I want to edit again. Select my text, I go to layout, and then over here I have this option for column. So if I were to select any number of columns, I can actually change to the number of columns that I want. So for example, if I were to put 2 columns, it will change to 2 columns. If I want to actually have 3 columns, I can change to 3 columns as well. So for here, I want it to be 2 columns, and there I go, 2 separate columns instead of the one that we usually have. So it's looking kind of like this already. We are good to go. Next, I want to insert a text box and import text from another file called info. So what they mean is this part over here where I want to insert a text box and I want to import another set of information from another file in my resources. So to do that is quite simple as well. I'm going to go back to my text. So I want to include my text box over here. So I can just put my cursor over here first, and then I go to insert. And under insert, I actually have an option for text box, so I can just select a very simple text box that I want to create, and it gets created. Now by default in my computer, it creates my text box right in the middle of my document, and it's disrupting all of my words all around it, and I don't want that. So I want it to be right at the side, and I want it to be in between my lines instead of in the middle of my text. So I can actually change my layout over here. So instead of being a square as it is right now, I can change it to be in line with my text. This will automatically shift it all the way to the right and shift it between my lines instead of in between my lines. So now I have it here. I'm going to resize it just to be a little bit bigger as it was in the picture that was seen. And I also want to create 2. If you notice in my yeah, okay, so I want to do that first. Next, I want to get some text from another file called info. So I already have this info file opened up, and this is what it looks like. So basically I want to just copy all of this text however you want to copy it. I'm going to do Control C to copy it, and once I copied that text, I want to insert it into my text box over here. That's it, and I'm done with this set of instruction first. Now I'm going to continue reading. So next, I want to create another text box beside my first one, and I want to link the two boxes together. So what that means is basically quite simple. We're going to start out with the simple instruction first, which is to create another text box, which is quite simple. I'm just going to honestly copy paste so I can get the same size text box. So I've copy pasted, I've created another text box, and I'm going to edit it again to be in line with my text. Okay, great. Now I'm going to erase whatever is inside this text box first, because it's the same, it's a copy of the first one, so I don't need the second one. So I erased everything first. Now I want to link these two boxes so that whatever is in the first box can continue flowing into the second box. What that means is, if you notice this first box, it's actually cut off. There's a lot more text underneath that is not being shown. So I want to make sure that whatever is left over that's not being shown here is going to instead cut off and then continue in the next box without me having to do anything. So how do I do that? I click my first box first. Now to do this first, I want to make it very, very clear, you have to make sure that my second box is completely empty. If it's not empty, this is not going to work. So my first box here, I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to go to my shape format, because I can treat it as a shape. So I go to my shape format, or for some of you it might be text box format, whatever it is. I'm going to open that up. Okay, so as I was saying, I want to select my text box first. So select my text box first, and I'll go to either shape format or whatever whatever text box format that you have in your own Word, and then I'm going to select create link. So what this will do for me when I select create link is, you notice my cursor has changed. So now whatever text box I click now will be linked to the current one that is selected over here. So I'm going to link it to this text. So I'm just going to click this text box, and that's it. So if you notice, automatically whatever was left over, whatever was flowing down in this text box, it is going to go over to this second text box. So for example, if I want to write even more in my first text, it's all going to show up in my second text box. Or if I want to write, for example, over here, and anything overflows, it will just go into the next one instead of being hidden in my first box. So that's about it. Okay, so I've already linked both my text boxes, and I'm done with this set of instruction as well. Again, really straightforward, really simple. Going down, now I want to format the border of my text boxes with dotted lines. So if you notice in my picture over here, these text boxes don't have straight lines, they're actually all dotted. So I want to recreate that in my own document as well. So going back to my document, what I can do is I can select both of my boxes, or I can select one first, and I can go to again, my shape format or my text box format, whatever it is. There is this option for shape outline or text box outline. If I were to click down on it, I can actually select what kind of outline that I want. So for this one, I want dotted outline, so I just select dotted. Same thing for this one, I just want a dotted outline. I just select my dotted, and I'm good. So now my text boxes are dotted instead of a solid line that it was before. So we're done with that. Next, I want to insert this picture next, and I want to position it beside the first paragraph using a text wrap. Okay, so ignore the second part, let's just focus on this. I want to insert a picture next and position it beside the first paragraph. So this is my picture, and I want it to be over somewhere around here. So going back to my document, okay, so I'm in my document. I want to insert it beside this paragraph. So I'm just going to put my cursor at the end of the paragraph first, and I'm going to go to insert, and under pictures, so if the insert tab over here, and under pictures, I'm going to choose insert picture from this device. So I already have my picture here, which is next. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to just insert this picture here. Now, remember, if you remember, in the instructions, they ask us to lay it out using the text wrap of square. So there's different ways I can lay out my picture. It looks different. So for example, the picture can look like this. If I want the picture to be between two lines, I can lay it out between two lines. If I want the picture to be on a completely separate paragraph, I can do that as well. So for this one, I want it to be in a square. So basically what that means is it gets wrapped around with text around it instead of just being cutting two lines of text. So to do that, I'm just going to click my layout option over here. Right now it is in line with text. I want to change it to squares. You can hover over them to see what the different options are, and I want it to be square, which is this one over here. If I click this, now I can move this text between my paragraph anywhere that I want it to be, and it will cut, and the paragraph and the words will wrap around my text. So I just want it somewhere around here, and I want to just resize my text a little bit to be a bit bigger, and this seems about right, and this seems about what is going on over here. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave my text over here, and that's good enough for this set of instruction, because they don't really tell us anything about the size or any other editing that you should do to the image, so I don't need to do anything else, right? Okay, so next I want to format my subheadings with a font style bold and underline. So what are subheadings? Basically, in my document, if you notice, there are these words that are on their own. So for example, things like reflection, exploration, planning, these are just words that are on their own, not part of a sentence, and they are basically words or paragraphs that are describing whatever is happening below it, right? So these are all what I call my subheadings. So I'm going to select all of my subheadings, and I'm going to slowly just make them bold and make them underlined. So over here, make them bold and make them underlined. So I can do this one by one. Make them bold, make them underlined. In exam, right, for example, you don't understand what they mean by subheadings, for example, honestly, just go back to the picture. It's very clearly here. This is bolded and underlined, these two are bolded and underlined, these two are bolded and underlined. This also helps you to see if you missed out on one or two of these subheadings. So yeah, that's good enough already. And let's see what else. Now I want to insert a footnote using the text "someone skilled in music" after this text called virtuoso. So what that will look like in a document is something like this. Person highly skilled in music is basically just what's it called, a definition for this word called virtuoso. That's what they want us to do. So first I want to find um, what where this word virtuoso is. One way you can do it is to like actually look through, but honestly a much easier way is under home. There's this thing called editing. So if I click under editing, there's this option for me to find. What I can do is I can just click this, and I can look up the word that I want to find. So I want to find virtuoso. There it is. I found it immediately. It's right here. I don't need to read through the entire paragraph. I can just find it here. So I found my word already, and I want to include a footnote under this word. So what that will look like is over here, if I notice virtuoso, there's this little subscript or superscript 1 over here, and that tells me to look under footnote number 1. So usually in books or whatever, there might be a number of little footnotes. So for example, there might be 3 different footnotes that they have, and each one will have a certain number associated, so I know exactly where to look in the footer lah, because there might be a number of them, so I want to know exactly which one I want to look for. So this one is number 1 because it's the first one I'm doing. That's what I want to do. Okay, so for this one, again, I want to go to insert, and under okay, sorry, I don't mean insert. For this one, I want to go to references, because this is a reference. A footnote is a type of reference that I'm doing within my paragraph. Under references, I'm going to click insert footnote over here, and it looks like this AB text with this superscript 1, which is exactly what we saw in the document in that question paper. So I'm going to insert a footnote here. So the moment I click that, there is a footnote that will open up. So right now my virtuoso has this number 1 superscript on top of it, and then I can write whatever I want to write, referring back to that word. So under this, I want to actually, according to the test paper, they want me to write person highly skilled in music. So that's exactly what I'm going to write over here. um, person highly skilled in music. That's it. And that is my footnote, and I am done. So now whenever anyone is to read this and they don't know what virtuoso is, they realize, oh, there's a footnote here, and then they can go down and they realize, oh, okay, so virtuoso means highly skilled in music, and that's, yeah, that's the purpose of the footnote essentially. And I've done that already, and I'm almost nearing the end of my worksheet. Next, I want to insert a page border. A page border, similar to my text box border, it is the uh, overall page border over here that we see. And in the instructions, in the paper itself, they don't really tell us like what to use or what color to use, but from the picture we can tell that these are yellow color stars. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my document, and to do anything with the overall page, like I said, it usually has to do with my this one has to do with design because it's the way that the page looks overall. So I'm going to go to design, and under design there is page borders. So under this I can select different borders that I want. So first of all, I can select what kind of border I want. So do I want a simple like box border, which is basically just a line around? Do I want it to have like a weird little shadow? Do I want it to look like a 3D frame or something, or whatever else? So for this one, it's just a simple box border. I don't need to do anything fancy with it. It's just a box border. And then I can also choose what kind of lines I want to have, whether I want to have a really thick line like this, whether I want to have like a dotted line or a dash line, whether I want to have something like that, whatever it is. But this one I want stars. If you notice over here in this column, there are no stars. There are these like fancy squiggly lines, but there are no stars, right? So to get those kind of fancy borders, what I have to do is actually have to go under art over here. If I go under art over here, there are many different options I have. I can choose like ice cream cones, I can choose whatever else, right? So I want to choose stars. If you notice, there are this option for stars. There we go. So I'm just going to choose this, and then now I have these yellow color stars over both of my all of my page borders essentially, and that pretty much looks exactly like what the question paper looks like, so I am happy with what I have. Next, I want to ensure body text are fully justified. Now, this is a confusing word that a lot of people may forget. Remember I said that my text and my words, I can lay it out in different ways. So all of my text, I can lay it to the side, to the left, I can lay it to the right. These words, I can lay it to the right, I can lay it to the left, I can lay it in the middle. There's another one that I can do, which is basically called fully justified, which basically just means that my lines start and end at the same place. So for example, if you notice this paragraph, right, like all of my lines start exactly on the same line on my left side over here. However, they all end at different places, and I don't want this staggered ending. I want everything to end along a straight line. So I'm going to do for that is I'm just going to select my text, and instead of choosing left align like it is now, I'm going to choose it to be fully justified. So now everything starts on the same line and everything ends on the same line. So I'm going to do the same thing for this one. I'm going to make it fully justified. Everything ends and stops at the same line. Same thing, I'm just going to select all of my text here, fully justified, justified, and then everything here, I want it all to be fully justified. So now everything is nice and neat and clean lah. So that's what it is. Okay, done. Next, I want to insert a watermark into this page. Now, a watermark is actually, if you remember, if you have seen, right, like those banknotes on like the internet before. For example, let me look it up. Banknotes, right? A picture of a banknote. If you notice, there's always this word called specimen that you can't really edit out of the picture. Like, it's very hard to edit out of the picture. So those are what we call watermarks, and it's basically just to prevent people from either copying your work or essentially, in this case, printing out these pieces of notes anyhow lah, because there's always going to be this word like specimen over here that's going to stand out. So same thing for Word documents. Usually like photographers, for example, that want to share their work but then they don't want people to steal their work, they'll have like a little watermark at the corner or across the page, so that if anyone downloads their work and tries to post it as their own, they can't, because the watermark of the original creator is still there. So that's what I'm trying to create with this document. I want to create this like watermark that will be hard to remove, that people cannot remove when they print out. Also, they cannot pretend that it's their own thing because it has your name or whatever on it. But also I don't want it to interfere with the actual word lah, because I don't want it to cover anything else, right? So what I'm going to do for that watermark is I'm going to go under design again, and under design there is this option for watermark. So I'm going to choose this watermark, and there's different watermarks that I can choose, different ways for it to look. They can be like diagonal like this, it can be horizontally across like this, and there's already a few like samples that they give you to automatically do. However, in the question paper they tell you specifically they want it with this text called sample lah. It's not just any other watermark. So for this one I'm going to go under custom watermark. I don't want to use the ones that they have. I want to make a custom one, and I want to make it a text watermark. So I want it to be a word, and the text that I want is sample. Now in the question paper they don't really tell us what they want, like what kind of text they want or what kind of color they want, so I don't really care about any of those. They also don't tell us diagonal or horizontal, but usually we prefer diagonal because it covers more space lah on your document. So I'm just going to apply a diagonal watermark called sample, and when I apply, if you notice, okay, you can't really see over here, but there is this sample image, sample watermark that appears lah. Okay, the reason why you can't see it here is because my text box actually have a color. You can't see it, but my text boxes are actually filled with white color, and I can actually change it to be no fill lah, and that way you can see the watermark below as well. Okay, so now do you see the watermark? So whenever someone takes this document and they want to print it out or something, this sample is always going to be there, and so they can never pass it off as their own or whatever lah. Okay, so that's what this is. And going back to my thing, save your work and submit it wherever you need to submit it, and that's about it. I can go back and double check maybe with the picture, see that everything looks about right, fully justified, 2 columns, 2 text boxes, everything here looks good. The bolding and the thing and the underlining, I'm gonna check my document. I mean, it looks about the same, bolding and underlining. My title, text boxes, my 2 columns, everything looks about the same. Okay, if you notice, this one, right, the career advice for teenagers starts on the next page. So maybe what I can do for that is I can bring my text boxes down a little, and then I can just bring it to the next page so it looks exactly like what your test paper looks like, so no one can say anything lah. Okay, so this is what my final document looks like, and this is what your final document should look like as well. There's certain instructions that are not given in the actual words of the paper, but you can infer certain things from the way that the picture looks, which is why they give you this picture to work with in the first place lah. Okay, so you can always refer to this as a hint, as well as idea of what your final product should look like essentially. So that's what I have here, and that's it. I'm just going to save my file and I'm done, and I can submit it wherever I need to submit it. So I'm going to save it under my submission, and that's it. Okay, so that is it. Thank you guys for listening to this.